So in the last video, we built this ever so beautiful start scene here with the start game button, quit game button, and a settings button that didn't do anything yet. In this video, we want to look at building something similar in our scene view, or rather into our game scene. And to make that easy, we're going to copy a lot of the functionality that we have here in our start game. So to do that, I've created a folder down here called prefabs, and I'm going to take this panel that has all these buttons in it and drag and drop it into that prefab folder. Now, we haven't talked a lot about prefabs, but what they are essentially a template of an object that can be reused over and over again. There's a lot of really great functionality here that a lot of beginner users don't make use of. So, for example here, you also notice here that in the hierarchy, all the parent and the children all turn blue, indicating that it's a connected prefab. So I click on this panel. I now have some options here. We have the select, revert, and apply. So select will simply select the prefab in your project view. You can't figure out where you put it. The revert, so for example, if I take this padding here and I make this, I don't know, 75, and that's changed this instance of this panel, but it hasn't actually changed what's here in the project view. You can still see that's 10 there. So if I click on that revert button, it's going to make this instance exactly like the instance that's in my project view. Likewise, maybe I want to increase my spacing here and set that up to 10. And I don't want it to just change in this instance. I want it to change everywhere, or especially in my project folder. I can hit apply. And then that 10 for the spacing will now be saved here in the prefab itself. So pretty helpful, pretty useful. There's a little bit more functionality to it, but that's the basic idea. We can make something and then copy it over and over again without having to recreate it. You can change something in the project folder, and it'll change all the instances in the game. So let's go back to our game scene. Save that view. So I'm here in my game scene, and here we want to add in that same sort of functionality. We want to be able to create an options menu. So to do that, first thing we're going to do is we're going to take this panel that we just saved as a prefab and drag and drop it onto our canvas. So again, it's got to be part of, or it's got to be a child of a canvas. If it's not a child of a canvas, it won't render properly. So now we've got that option there. So let's go to scene view so we can make some adjustments. I can resize this maybe a little bit, place it somewhere else. All right. We'll have to make a couple changes to that to get it to work. But the first thing we want to do is add in a button up here that will open and close this options menu. So let's do that. Let's add in a new button. Okay. I'm going to drag that up here, press F to zoom into it a little bit. Size that. Something like that. Again, we're not trying to make it pretty, just trying to make it functional at this point. I'm going to rename this button options button, and I'm going to change the text to options, and I'm going to size this up. Yeah, that looks okay. So now I've got an options button, and what this is going to do is just toggle this object on and off, much like our help button did. So we can cheat a little bit here and reuse or modify the FSM that we use for our help button. So let's select the help button, and we're going to copy that FSM, copy that component, and we're going to put it onto this options button. Paste as new. And I'm going to rename that FSM toggle options menu, and we're going to edit that. Open that up. I'm going to dock my Playmaker window. Here we go. And it's going to be the same kind of functionality, right? We're going to be listening for a click, and then we're going to toggle that help window. So this first state can stay the same. The second state's going to need some modification. First thing we need to do is we need to change the Boolean that it's looking for. We don't want it to be dependent on this help text. We need a new variable. So we're gonna go to variables, and I'm gonna make this one global too. So I'm gonna call this options menu is open, and make sure it's a Boolean, and add that. Oop, looks like I already had one from a previous version, so we'll get rid of that. Okay, so option menu is open, and then come back to our state, and we need to not be flipping the help text Boolean. We need to be flipping the options menu Boolean. So change both those. And now we don't want to be activating the help text. We want to be activating this panel, this options panel. So I'm going to rename that while I'm at it. Options panel. Right. And let's see if that works. Okay. All right, we're toggling. And if you notice, I had a double click there at the beginning. And again, that's the assumption that the options panel is going to be off when we start the game. Okay. Now, I've got this open. If I press my start game, it's not doing anything. And so we're going to have to change the script on that a little bit. Quit game still doesn't work, but it'll work if you have a standalone game. So let's go in and change the script or the action on the start game button. So let's open that up. Here's our start button. Go to Playmaker. And now, as we're doing this, you can see it's giving me a little bit of an error, a little bit of a notification here. It's asking it, do I want to edit the prefab or edit the instance? Now, in this case, I want to edit the instance because I don't want to change the start button in the other scene. So I'm going to press edit instance. And in this case, what we need to change is not the load. What we need to do is not load scene, but load level. So I'm going to open up my action browser, dock that over here, and we got our load. So here's the load scene that we've added before. This time we want to be loading a level. This first option here will load level by name. And again, I don't really like that because I have to type it and I can misspell things. I want to load level by number. So the second option here. We'll add that in, and we're going to remove this load scene, remove action, and we're going to load scene 1. All right. There's some more advanced options down here, but for our purposes, just loading the level is all we need. So let's check and see if that's working. So let's turn that off. Let's go change something. So we've collected one sphere. Options, start game, and we reload our game. There we go. It's working. So before we leave here, let's do one more thing. Let's add another button down here to close this option menu. So let's click on the option menu. We're going to add another UI button. Okay. Let's go to our scene view. Sometimes it doesn't automatically resize it. You can see it stuck it up there. What I did is I dragged it and dropped it back onto the parent, just like that. And then the vertical layout group kind of grabs it and resizes it. So now we've got a new button here. We're going to call this just close window. All right. And we'll call reset the text close, and put that up to 40. And once again, let's change the color of this button. Make it a little something like that, and change the color of the text again, something like that. Okay. While we're in here, let's also change this so it doesn't say start game. Let's change that to be restart game, or just restart actually will work too. There we go. Okay. So we got our new button in there. And since this has the exact same functionality as this options button, we can go to our options button, copy that FSM, and paste it on our close button. Okay. Let's see how that works. So again, I'm kind of expecting a double click here. There we go. I had to click it twice. Open and close, open, close. There we go. Pretty good. So we've created a basic options menu in the game that allows us to restart the game, quit the game, and we can close out that menu from inside the menu. So again, not pretty, but functional. Hope that was helpful. See you guys next time.